Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Caesar Plays, and welcome back to another week of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, the Shibuya Incident arc. So, right off the bat, I have to point out, and I have to put this out there. I know there are manga leaks out there of what currently just happened. Please do not talk about them in the comment section. Please. We're talking low. We're talking purely this video specifically is just for the anime only. I don't want to talk anything about the manga past this episode. Please just keep it out of the way. But that being said, wow, there's just so much to talk about in this episode. For those of you that are not non-manga readers, sorry, for those of you that don't read the manga and are just anime only watchers and viewers, this is crazy. Now, I knew what was gonna happen, obviously, the manga readers knew what was gonna happen this episode. It is still incredible, crazy to just think about the implications of this whole thing, and a lot of questions just pop up. But let's start off. Let me just start off by overviewing this episode of what started, which is I'm sorry, my head's just all over the place just because of how much fun I had with this episode right now. But the episode starts off with some, I guess, a montage of. Let's just starts off with like the question, like, what do you think of Satoru Gojo? And it then goes to a montage of all the people that he's worked with, talking about what their opinions are on him. And a lot of them say it's supposed to be like a little bit of a comedic effect kind of thing, of like everyone just saying like you're selfish, egocentrical, and all that sad. Like, and I think Maki also says like he's an idiot. Little comedic effects on there. It starts off with Yuji saying like I forgot what, but it starts off with Yuji talking about him, and it ends the montage with him saying, but also he's the strongest, which is very important for this episode. The name of the episode is called Gate Open, which, for those of you that weren't paying attention last episode, anime only watchers, it was heavily implied that the cursed spirits that were fighting, that were going up against Gojo, were there to stall Gojo for something. So, reading the episode title, it should make a little bit of sense that they're trying to imprison him somewhere. I gotta say, I just gotta put this out the way too, that this OP is becoming one of my favorites out there. Maybe for Jujutsu Kaisen, it's probably second favorite. I think the second OP was my favorite of all of them. I still like the first one too, but this is like a close second. I'm not gonna lie, because everything from the aesthetic of how dire the situation is and how creepy it is, to the color palette, to a lot of little moments that I can't talk about without spoiling the season too much, to just like that sick guitar riff that happens right as the title appears, is just this OP is great. I love it. But anyway, back to the episode. So there's just so much going on right now, and this episode, so much happened. If you take time to think about it, like the Jogo and Hanami and Shoso fight. For those of you unaware, like myself, who are bad with names, Jogo is the volcanic curse spirit. Hanami is the plant-based, I guess, curse spirit, and Shoso is the one with the blood curse technique. So they're all fighting Gojo, and they're all trying to see how they can bypass his ability, his infinity ability, how they can actually deal damage to him. Now, I'm not gonna get too much into the technicalities of how the curses work and how their movesets work, because I don't want to say something that may be incorrect. I need to sometimes reread or rewatch the episode, reread the manga, or rewatch the episodes a couple times to really comprehend exactly how the techniques work. because we know that Gege likes to get super technical with abilities, and which I absolutely love, by the way. But it's it gets to the point where I guess Jogo and Hanami find a way to kind of, a little bit like kind of counter Gojo's technique, but not really. Like they feel like they're having some progress to actually doing something. But and I think I forgot what it's called. This domain something that they're using, but it gets to the point where Gojo decides to turn off his infinity technique and go really hand to hand with some of them. And Hanami picks up on it. Like first he turns his technique off and goes to fight Jogo. And Hanami notices this, and she's like, I'm saying I'm just gonna say it like that. She says basically like, oh, he turned the technique off. Now it's a good time to initiate attack. And so she goes for a counter, to which Joe goes like, "I watch the fuck out." I hope this doesn't montage my video now. I gotta learn to not curse on YouTube anymore. But just watch out. Watch out. Do not turn your technique off. But then Gojo realizes that they can't do, the curses can't apply both that technique that they were using against him and do their usual movesets against them at the same time. It's one or the other. So Gojo takes advantage of that and rips Hanami's basically her wood eyes, I guess, off, weakening her. Which leads then to one of my favorite moments in the fight, where Hanami is basically close on the side of the wall, and Jogo is on the other side, and with Gojo in between them, and they're both trying to battle him. To which Gojo just turns on his infinite technique and says, "F it. You gonna need a lot more power to weaken me right now." And then says, walks towards Hanami, basically the infinite technique that's pushing you out, is basically using that pressure to push Hanami out. But she's right next to the wall, so she's getting pushed towards the wall and basically getting pushed against it and basically crushing almost her. And Jogo is like, "Yo, hey, Gojo, look at this," and just like points at like some civilians. Is like, look, I'm gonna kill him, like just to distract him again, because he realizes what's happening. And it leads to one of my favorite moments of this fight, which is Gojo not even batting an eye to the civilians. He's like, doesn't care that Jogo's trying to intimidate him or trying to distract him or threaten him. Like, I'm gonna kill these civilians. He's just not hearing it. He's just not caring. He's like, nope, I'm gonna exercise this curse right now, and gets so close to the wall to the point where Hanami just becomes blood everywhere, blood on the wall. That's what all Hanami becomes. It's just so cold, I want to say, which foreshadows a little bit what's going to continue happening in this episode. Then in between, we get some little flashbacks of it was Geto, Jogo, Hanami, Mahito, and it was the four of them actually playing some form of I forgot the name of the game that they were playing. They're playing basically a game, and Geto is trying to remind them, hey, like, listen, the idea is not to beat Gojo. The idea is just to stall. I have this thing that we can use against him, but we need to stall him for a minute. And to which Jogo gets upset, saying like, "Yo, you! I swear to God, you didn't just bring me here and become friends with us and collaborate with us just because you think that we can hold Gojo off for a minute, because that's some crazy ass shit right now." And Geto is fully convinced that it can happen. After those in between reminders, there's this little sequence with Yuji where him, Mei, and Ui are walking down the to the train station, and they see a human like just completely shook. And Judy tries to confront her and says, like, "Hey, what's up? You good?" And she just says, like, "Hey, man, I was left behind because they didn't need me and gets transfigured out of nowhere. They because they didn't, I couldn't. I was left behind from. I wasn't able to enter the train because they say they didn't need me. That's what she says, something along those lines. And it transitions to Mahito arriving into the fight and just releasing all these transfigured humans up on the scene, and it just becomes even more chaotic. Mind you, I'm not talking about Shoso too much because Shoso is like doing little things in between. Just she's not really proactive in this fight, really. But Mahito is in there and just releases transfigures humans everywhere, creating even more chaos in between, trying to attack Gojo as well, but none of it is working. And it gets to the point where it's dire as hell. Civilians are dying left or right, are getting attacked by transfigured humans. You got cursed spirits, the cursed womb Chozo. You got the cursed spirits, Jogo and Mahito just killing people left and right on the field. And Gojo is left with a decision like, what do you do? And then in that it goes into a little narration of don't tell me. It goes into a little narration of what you may call it, of sorry, I thought I might stop recording. Of Jogo saying, "Yeah, no, this is really what's happening. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, this is you're stuck in a situation, Gojo, where this is really really happening. Are you going to let us? Is it easier for you to accept that us cursed spirits are killing these humans, or are you gonna take the stance and and exercise, do your domain expansion and exercise and kill everyone with us in it? Are you willing to make that sacrifice? You're not that person." And even Mahito admits that, yeah, Gojo is known to make cold-blooded uh, strategies and decisions, unlike Yuji, for example, who would try to like save everybody. And Jogo is of the opinion that he's not gonna do it. To which then all three of them say, "Oh f, he's actually going to do it." And Gojo unleashes his domain expansion, which, for those of you that don't remember or aren't familiar with the explanation of it, basically his domain expansion, his attack is basically he feeds information to your head, like an infinite amount of information into your brain in a certain amount of time, which overwhelms your brain because it cannot process everything so much, and it basically halts you still. You can't do anything. You're so brain dead because of you can't process how much information you're getting that it just halts you almost in a comatose state almost. That's what's so crazy about Gojo doing this domain expansion while all the civilians are there, because if a cursed spirit can barely take it, what is a human going to do about it? And the crazy part about what happens next is that Gojo didn't really anticipate what was going to happen. He just speculated, what if I just feed them, like, I think 223 seconds of this domain expansion? That's like half a year worth of information that will channel in those humans. And he thought ahead of time and speculated that this should be enough for most of them, if not all of them, to survive by just this amount of information. This shouldn't kill them. So he did a super quick domain expansion just to paralyze, I guess, everyone in that area. and then proceeded to exercise all the transfigured humans in there. I forgot the count of how many transfigured humans these were, but he basically took out the whole Mahito army within 223 seconds. But the fact that he didn't do this before is he just said, "Let me see if I can do it. Let me see if this works," and just went with it, and it did. It worked. Now, by that time, Gojo is tired, worn out, and he turns around to notice a little box on the floor, which he already finds super weird and super sketchy. Then the box opens up and there's a huge eyeball in it. He stares into it and he understands this is bad news, so he decides to turn around and walk away, which then proceeds to Geto showing his face. Now, something that maybe us, the viewers, have overlooked and not realized is that Gojo doesn't know that Geto was around, that Geto's body was around. Let us remember, for those of you that have watched season 1 and have watched the movie, the last time that Gojo saw Geto was when he saw his body broken out after the fight with Yuta. So to see him this way right now, with all this happening, is absolutely, it messes with him to an extended degree. Now, I felt that this is the only thing that I do want to criticize this episode for in regards to the manga. In the manga, I felt that it was better explained when they say, even though Gojo had enough time to escape after seeing Geto, but the remembering him and seeing him just gave him so many flashbacks and made him halt still to the point where Gojo forgot about time, and all he did was just get reminded of his friend who he knew for years and had to see die. And all that, while processing all that, that was all the extra time that the box needed to seal him. And I felt like the manga made it a lot more clear than the anime did. The anime implied it by showing you the flashbacks, but they didn't emphasize how much Gojo basically could have gone away from this trap. But because of the shock of seeing his friend's body, that's basically what that messed him up completely. That's what ruined this moment for him, and got him imprisoned. Now, Gojo says something interesting, which again got cleared up right away, and that's like, "Who are you? Who are you really?" Because your spirit is there and the body is there, but you're not Geto though. And Geto and Satoru, Geto finally says like, "Man, that's crazy that you can tell from this whole scenario," and then proceeds to open up his sewn on head, which was right in front of our faces the whole time. Only to pop the head out and you see a cursed spirit in a brain form, and says, "I can switch bodies as much as I want to, as long as I can replace the brain." But it's crazy that you can see that. And Gojo tells him like, "Listen, man, there are other people who are out there, other people who will stop you. You forgot." I love how he's phrased it. "You forgot who messed up that body the first time around." And this cursed spirit, whose name we eventually find out, but not in this episode, this cursed spirit basically tells him like, "Oh, Utah, you mean? Nah, I knew about him. I just didn't need his technique or his I don't believe that he's up for much." Though again, I love Utah. He's one of my favorite characters in the series. Um, but yeah, that's basically what happens. Just Gojo getting sealed up right after that, and the episode ends on something which I really wanted. I really wanted this episode to end this way. I'm so happy it did. And that is Mekamaru in like a little, almost like a headphone format, appearing in Yuji's ear and telling him like, "Listen, I'm gonna tell you this, and I need you to understand it from the first time right away. Satoru Gojo has been sealed." And the screen goes to the ED. This is how I wanted the episode to end. Just overall, as you could tell, I was super hyped about this episode. I loved this episode so much. Such a fun episode. Animation was top notch. The music was great. The pacing was incredible. I'm not sure, and I could be wrong, but I thought that the fight between the Cursed Spirits and Gojo was intervened with some other stuff that was happening in other fights. But I think for more anime logic, and I think if this is the case that they're doing it, then amazing. They did it intentionally, but I think it's very logical that they put these fights all in one. They stitch up fights, that they put them all in one coherent fight so that you can tell what's going on and don't get caught up every single time. One of my biggest gripes with One Piece, which I love One Piece again, but one of my biggest gripes with One Piece sometimes is that they have so many battles going on with different crew members that they sometimes switch back and forth between what's going on, and it just disorients me sometimes. I like seeing the full fight, and then next episode give me this fight. I like that style of storytelling and anime storytelling basically. So yeah, a lot of things happened this episode, which was again were incredible, and I had a lot of fun because I know I said last overview that the Shibuya arc is finally starting. It with this it starts, and I'm not BSing. I swear I'm not BSing, but this is the catalyst. This is where things go down. Satoru Gojo getting sealed is the first thing that happens, but just remember the start of the episode is usually basically saying that Satoru Gojo, he's the strongest. Now that the strongest Jujutsu sorcerer is sealed up, what do you think is gonna happen? I can't wait to see so much more because oof, yeah, no, this arc is great. I love it. So yeah, no, there's so much else I can really say about this, but um, I hope you guys enjoyed the episode as much as I did. I can't wait for next week too. Every week from now on until the season ends is gonna be a fun watch. But if you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like the video, comment down below if you're gonna talk spoilers, and please no manga spoilers past the Shibuya arc. Let's just say that. If you are gonna talk manga spoilers, please put all caps spoilers and then write your comment under that. Just for the sake of people that don't want to get spoiled on stuff. And otherwise, yeah, no. Hope that you see you around. Hopefully you'll come back and watch the next couple weeks episodes that are coming up, and hopefully you enjoy the episode as well. Like again, this is incredible that we can get an anime manga of this story so well put together, so well animated. I really do hope that Studio Mappa picks up on Chainsaw Man season 2 and does justice for that series too, because Chainsaw Man is also like one of my favorite mangas out there of all time. At least the part 1. I'm still catching up with part 2 right now. But yeah, for those of you tuning in, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day, and maybe until next time. Bye.